Brand on Tour with Anzhelika Tauber and Katrin Hansel. The podcast where personal branding meets sports. I mean, not everyone will start at 60k per hour. You probably start around 1,800.
Oh my god, we were like chickens in a boiling soup. We were jammed. I could only swim like this. Everyone was kicking me, everyone was punching me, and I was like, oh my god. And I was swallowing water and I was really scared.
That's why I would never ever start a triathlon.
Ask yourself this question: if you didn't exist, whom would the event organizers or the corporates book? Katrin, I almost died! If you talk to everyone, you talk to no one. That's why you need to take this step in the positioning framework really seriously.
Hello and welcome back to Brand on Tour, the podcast about personal branding, business and sports. I'm Katrin.
I'm Lika.
And today we are in St. Pölten, which is in Lower Austria in Austria. What are we doing here?
We are cheering on my man, Manuel. My husband is running half IRONMAN. Or he's swimming, cycling and running. And we are waiting here and cheering him on. Just like another 2,400 people. They are behind us going nuts.
Have you actually ever tried a triathlon?
I did try, so it was literally a triathlon. It was called the ladies run, although I think like for men would be also very useful. It was a baby triathlon. Like I wouldn't even call it a triathlon in comparison to what these people are doing here today. So what they are doing today is 1.9 kilometers swim, 90 kilometers cycle, and 20 kilometers running. So what I did was 150 meters swim, 10 kilometers cycling and 1.5 kilometers running. So it was nothing in comparison.
And how did it go?
Katrin, I almost died. It
Why?
was so crazy. So the swimming is a crazy part. And today they were like separated into groups and we were also one group. I don't know, maybe we were like 200 people. And everyone starts in the water at the same time. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to swim freestyle. Like this, I don't think you can finish if you don't swim freestyle. It's like this. To all the triathletes there, this is like this. and I was like, I'll just swim like this, you know, like all the ladies out there. Oh my god, we were like chickens in a boiling soup. We were jammed. I could only swim like this. Everyone was kicking me, everyone was punching me, and I was like, oh my god, like, and I'm like, it's deep. There is nowhere to stand. I'm like going to drown. I literally, and I was swallowing water and I was really scared.
That's why I would never ever start a triathlon. So
No, next year we're gonna
I may
do
just
this
start
one.
here and I do the show, but I'll definitely not gonna be part of the competition. However, so what are we going to talk about today?
So today, I thought we can start our first educational episode with the most essential thing, which is positioning.
So we're going to talk about positioning for former athletes because so many athletes want to transition into a keynote speaker. And there's so many mistakes they actually do because how often do we actually see the lines on the websites? Oh, inspirational speaker, motivational speaker. But that doesn't give me, as a corporate, no sense of what does this person actually deliver on stage. Will they put will this person put the audience, my employees or my team, my colleagues, on competitive advantage?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Competitive advantage, right? This is what they want. They want outcomes, they want results. So you as a speaker need to deliver that. But how do you do that? Definitely something to discuss in one of the next episodes when we talk about what do you include in the keynote. The first thing is still how do you position yourself to get chosen altogether? Because like if you don't get chosen, nobody's gonna hear your keynote anyway, right?
And athletes are so interesting to corporates, if you ask me. I mean, I've been on stage now for 15 years, hundreds of events, and I would say roughly 90% of the keynote speakers were former athletes.
90%, really?
Roughly. I'm not
Crazy.
talking about keynotes in between during the entire day, but the main keynote after opening or in the very end, the main keynote, roughly 90% come from sports.
Yeah, well, I can understand that. So today when I was cheering Manuel on while waiting for him to come out of the swimming area, everyone was cheering each other on. Like, didn't matter whether these were your family or your friends, everyone was cheering. And I had tears in my eyes. I don't know if you ever had that. Nothing was happening, but just people all together, united by a goal, by like a mission to overcome something and supporting each other, gave me such an amazing feeling. Like I had tears in my eyes. I couldn't even like probably cheer them on because I'm like, yes, let's go.
Well, it's your husband, so that's the proof you're still in love with your husband. We love that one. But you know, people love sports. There's emotions aroused by
so
sports.
Inspiring.
So if there's a former athlete, doesn't matter if this person had some kind of champs, doesn't matter, European or world champs or an Olympic medal. Even if you haven't done all these huge competitions, you can still transition into a keynote speaker because you've got great experience in something what other people didn't do. And you've got discipline and you had those highs and lows. And so many people are following other people in sports because it gives them emotions.
Yeah, just like I received today.
Yeah.
Like, and these people are not even professional athletes. So 2,400 people just overcoming something together, and literally basically every one of them could become a keynote speaker to talk on resilience. And so the question in that situation is, how do you position yourself to differentiate yourself from all the other 2,399 who could speak on the same topic? Yeah, finishing
I would say there's so much space for not all 2,400, but there's space for every keynote speaker, every person who wants to turn into a keynote speaker, because the global keynote speaker market is around $4 billion US. It's
huge.
Massive.
It's huge. People are ready to pay huge money for that. So my mentor, he shared with me that when I met him last year in Germany, he was giving a keynote there. It was about an hour. It was awesome. It was like so funny, so insightful. And he charged 60,000 euros for this. This is like huge. For some people, this is more than an annual salary.
And I mean, not everyone will start at 60K per hour. You probably start around 1,800 or 2,500, but you can climb so quickly up to 4 or 5K and then 7, 8K for half an hour, max 45 minutes. Yeah. And the top 1% keynote speakers, they charge between 100 and 200K. For one single keynote. That's insane.
It's insane. It is insane. But I think you have to really have achieved something, or you have to have built something that others are like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we start with positioning? Because without positioning, no good keynote, right?
Definitely. So let's address it step by step. I think the first thing that people often underestimate is that becoming a keynote speaker as a former athlete or whoever, founder, expert, whoever you are, you need to approach it as a product. Your keynote speaking is a product, so you need to go through the same process of branding and marketing that product as you would with any service, any offer, any real physical product, right? So this is the first mindset shift that has to happen. You're not gonna get booked just because you're an athlete. You have to think, okay, how do I brand? How do I market?
You have worked with plenty of former athletes. You've created their personal brands. You did their keynote setup. I wouldn't say keynote itself essentially, but this entire product you just described. What are the first steps where you start with them? Like, I can't imagine, like, I've never worked with former athletes. I've got like typical CEOs or people, experts from the corporate world, and I assume it's quite different.
It's definitely different, but I love it. For me, it's the most exciting part, this transition and how you package your past to transition into a new role, into new identity. I love it, but I would start even one step back. While you're an active athlete, start thinking about what corporates want, because 52% of all keynote orders come from the corporate world. So you need to be very useful for them. And that's not just inspiring, right? The inspiration fades away the next morning. The employees in the company hear your keynote. The next morning, they're just again like scrolling on their phones and don't want to work. So think about how can you package everything that you learned during your experience as an athlete into what corporates would find useful. So this is thing number one, and that's not something that happens right away. I think creating a unique mechanism or intellectual property takes time to think about it. So this is my very first step. Start thinking about it way earlier, not when you are already forced to do it because your career is over and you have to transition and there is like no time to develop anything.
So Lika, you've developed your own framework for former athletes and how they develop their own keynote and the specific brand around it. Just walk us through it step by step. We want to know more about it.
Yeah, let's do it. So actually I have like a full framework on developing a personal brand of a keynote speaker and athlete. It's called Spotlight Framework because we take our clients and we put them onto the digital spotlight just like they would be on stage. But the positioning part is its own framework, obviously. And it all starts with the competitive advantage. This is where you need to think outside of who you are and ask yourself this question: if you didn't exist, whom would the event organizers or the corporates book? And basically you need to start with the competition research, right? See how they position themselves, what category they put themselves in, what intellectual property do they have, what content do they post. Once you know the playground, you know what your arsenal is from your past.
So that's the very first step, to have a look at competitors, how they are positioned, to find your very own niche. What's step two?
Step two is unique attributes. What unique capabilities do you have or unique experiences that you can intertwine into your positioning? And actually this framework works the same whether you're a product brand or a business brand or a personal brand of a founder. You always need to think, what makes you different? And this is where your experience as an athlete plays the huge role, right? All the setbacks, all the victories, everything that you've gone through, you need to take them and think, okay, your competitors don't have those. Maybe they don't have those extra few medals, or maybe they didn't tear their ACL 3 times and then still come back as a vice world champion and an Olympian. This is speaking actually about one of my clients, Clemens, whom you also know, who is one of the top speakers in Austria right now. And this exactly this experience that you would think held you back in your past when you were an athlete now makes you such a remarkable person to learn from, because you have overcome such huge setbacks and still came out on top.
Because athletes are so often going through valleys, then they need to climb the summits. Some of them manage, others don't. And going back into the valley, like, it's an emotional roller coaster, especially when you have had many injuries as Clemens had.
Yeah.
So step number 3.
Step number 3 is the value. So the real outcome that you deliver to your audience, a result. Having an inspired audience the next day is not a real tangible outcome that can be measured from the corporates. You need to think increase in productivity, increase in performance. What else can it be? Increase better teamwork, better communication. There has to be a very specific value, very specific outcome. And it is very different from just an inspired audience, because inspiration fades. I already mentioned that. So you need to bring in something measurable.
How about step 4?
Step 4 is the target audience. Who would actually care about that value? You need to very clearly in your positioning statements say who this is for. Is this for the C-levels? Is this for the top management, middle management? Is it for the employees? For whom that value will be relevant? If you don't understand it, that means you didn't do your positioning work, and it's a big issue because it will not be relevant for everyone. Your value will not be relevant for everyone. A CEO typically is on a very different level than a entry-level employee, right? CEOs, they read like 50 books a year, and what motivates them is different things than what motivates an entry-level employee. So you need to know very well for whom is your keynote.
What their pain points are, because they are looking for answers. Inspiring them, yeah, that's one thing, but you can also inspire them and even inspire them in the long term if you understood what solutions you could give them for the future.
Yeah. So knowing who you're talking to and for is super important because it's not going to be the same solution. And everyone knows this marketing experience. I don't know about former athletes actually, but everyone in marketing would know it. So if you talk to everyone, you talk to no one. That's why you need to take this step in the positioning framework really, really seriously.
And also the language patterns, like who is my audience? How much do they understand about the topic I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So where do I need to jump into the topic very low in terms of expertise? Or can I jump in somewhere mid-run or top level already? Because I know these are experts on the field I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like what I've once experienced in a keynote, there was a former athlete as well. I'm not going to mention a name right now. And this person came up with very basic models, theoretical models from some kind of class at university, which you usually have in the first semester. But there were in the audience, there were top managers. And everyone was just like giggling around because, we've had this like in the first semester back 20 years, but we actually applying those models, theoretical models every single day in reality in our lives. And you've just noticed this former athlete just read the first book and thought like, that's a great model. I just present this to top managers.
Yeah.
Failure is all right, absolutely all right, but there's certain mistakes you really do not need to step into. And I would say that's one mistake. If you do not understand your audience, take some more time and do the homework, do the research.
Yeah, if your audience is C-levels, talk to Catherine. She'll tell you everything that they need and want. But this actually brings me to step 5, because taking a framework, a methodology from a textbook, just like you mentioned, is actually not something that's going to make you a remarkable, unique keynote speaker. What you need for this, and this is step 5, is unique methodology. Package your experience in a unique mechanism, an intellectual property that belongs only to you. And I have prepared a few examples of other athletes or sports directors who have done this really well. So one IP-driven positioning comes from Sir Dave Brailsford. He's a British sports director and cycling coach. Like, he has achieved a lot in his career. And what he teaches is aggregation of marginal gains. So basically in his positioning statement, I don't have it, it doesn't exist so clearly on the internet. But basically you could take, I help, C-levels achieve higher performance through the aggregation of marginal gains. This would be a very typical positioning statement. And what he writes is that the whole principle came from the idea that if you broke down everything you could think of that goes into riding a bike and then improved it by 1%, you will get a significant increase when you put them all together. And if you think about it, improving by 1% is not a new concept, right? If you think about atomic habits and so on, it all exists. The only difference is the name you put on it. And this is really the trick, the hack. Take a mechanism that you put together, whatever it is, and slap a name on it that makes it yours and nobody else's.
Yeah, it's intellectual property.
Yeah. If you think about Simon Sinek and his Start With Why framework, he wasn't the first person who talked about the importance of having a purpose in life or purpose in your business beyond monetization that really drives the heart of the business. But what he did, he came up with these 3 pretty circles and put why, what, how, and everyone is like, oh my God, this is so amazing.
It's actually not rocket science.
It's
but
not.
He
It's not the
framed it
first.
very well, and he positioned himself so well.
Yeah, so he became known for this one unique thought, one unique mechanism, and that's all you need. In the end, that's all you need. I'm going to give you another example. This is from Lewis Pugh. He has swum in every single ocean. So like a swimmer, really hardcore swimmer. And what he sells is achieving the impossible, because basically he has achieved the impossible of swimming in every ocean. And that is a 5-part framework on vision, mindset, high performance teams, meticulous preparation, never quitting, and flexibility. All these words sounds familiar, no? Mm-hmm. Every single one of them.
Every single one. Mm-hmm.
Never quitting. Yep. Duh. Yes, sir. High performance teams. Yeah. Every other team sports could talk about it. What he did was naming these things and putting them into a framework, and that's what he sells. Mm-hmm. The final example that I want to give you from like a very known international keynote speaker is the Kobe Bryant, who productized Mamba mentality. Mamba mentality is a philosophy, and it consists of 5 pillars. Get better every day, be prepared, be curious, find your passion, lead. Mm-hmm. Also, nothing new really, right? Just a different combination of things that we all know. But Mamba mentality sounds like a motherfucker. Like, I would book a Mamba mentality like right away.
Yeah, and this will stay forever. Like this intellectual property he actually created will last forever.
Yeah.
Even after his death.
Exactly, and Mamba is such a cool name. Yeah. Like I right away think about this black snake. And one last example that I still want to give is actually from my former client, Clemens Doppler. He is a beach volleyball player, just like us, just maybe a bit better, just a little bit. And he came up with an idea of the 12-second rule. 12-second rule comes from the fact that, you know, between when the point ends in volleyball and the service, you have 12 seconds. So you have 12 seconds to like get the ball and start serving. But you also have only 12 seconds to communicate with your partner what just went down. If like you lost the ball, why did that happen? What do we need to do next? If you lost several balls in a row, you need to communicate like, is your strategy working all together? And you only have those 12 seconds. If everything is going well, you support like. There are many different situations why you would need to use those 12 seconds, and you need to be very focused in that time to say the right things. And communication under pressure is nothing new either, right? Many people have talked about it. But what Clemens did, and I don't know if he realized it, but he has several keynotes, but this one I think is the strongest one in terms of intellectual property, is the 12-second rule and how to communicate under pressure. And that applies to businesses, it applies to teams. And I think that was a pretty genius move for him. And I think that's why he's doing pretty well also now.
Because his keynote career actually skyrocketed in the last one and a half years.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to think that's thanks to me.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
But still, he's performing great on stage.
Yeah, he's amazing. I do get goosebumps. He has an amazing opening video. Like, there are so many aspects that go into being a great keynote speaker, like apart just from the positioning. Positioning is just the first step. So the last step, package your experience and your expertise into something truly unique. Even if it might have existed before, just give it a little spin, name it, and there you go.
And then it's your own, and that's what you can actually perfectly sell.
Exactly. And then you can develop a very clear positioning statement. And there is a very simple formula. I'm going to read it out loud. So, I help whom? You insert your target audience, let's say C-levels. Do what? Like achieve what? What do they want to achieve? Better teamwork?
Better results, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever they want to achieve.
Using the name, so name your unique system, your unique mechanism. I built based on what? Based on your experience, like based on winning 20 medals in skiing. Like, I think Michaela Schifrin would be a kick-ass speaker because she is just a rock star in skiing and like she has done so much. So basically, target audience, outcome, unique mechanism, and based on your past experience of whatever you have overcome or achieved.
And do not try to target everyone.
Yeah, no.
That's a clear rule.
Yeah.
So be very specific in whom you want to target.
100%. So this makes it clear, defensible, and bookable. And this is the very first step in transitioning into a keynote speaker from an athlete.
Thanks for sharing your expertise on positioning, especially for former athletes. But I think there's actually everybody who wants to transition into a keynote speaker can benefit from your framework.
100%. Every single person, even if it's a founder who built a huge company like a unicorn, you still need a unique framework. Because if you just said, yeah, we worked hard and grinded our way to a unicorn, it's not going to work out.
No, definitely not. Thanks a lot, Lika. And
Thank you.
Thanks to you for being part of the Brand on Tour podcast. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.